Have you ever been overwhelmed by all the tools inside of CorelDRAW's Curve Tool Flyout? Well, guess what? They're easier than you think they are. Stick around. Welcome to CorelDRAW Techniques. My name is John Allred. Even though this is part of my QuickTours series, I'm going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into these tools today. We're going to take a look individually at the tools inside of the Curve Tool Flyout. And you're going to discover that they're pretty easy. In preparation for this video today, I spent a good deal of time going through these tools and compiling a spreadsheet that helps me better understand how the tools work and how they interact with each other. And I'm going to share that spreadsheet with you as a download from my website. I'll give it to you in a couple of 3 formats. Hopefully you can use it. Something else, I'm also going to provide a link or two to some products that I use. And I should tell you that I may receive affiliate income if you were to click on any of those links. A few of these tools are relatively simple and are simple to use and simple to understand. But 2 or 3 of them are a little more complex, and there's some interactions with the property bar that I'm going to try to point out as I go along. That's covered in a little more detail in the spreadsheet that I told you about, but I'll try to do them here. You should notice as you're working with these tools, take notice of what's going on in the property bar, because the features that the tools have can be changed using the property bar for several of them. Also, there are a few keys that change or modify how the tools operate. They are the Enter key, the Space bar, double click, and the Escape key. With some of the tools, you can restart after you've clicked off to something else. And with some, once you finish the line, there's nothing else you can do to it in terms of continuing it. All right, so let's go to the first tool. The Freehand tool makes single segment lines, either straight lines or curved lines. And let me demonstrate. Okay. If I click once and then move my mouse and click again, I've created a single straight line segment. If I click and drag and move my mouse as I do, then you'll notice that I make a multi-segment curve. Now, something to notice up here, there's a smoothing spinner, and right now I've got it set on 0, and you see how rough this line is. I'll zoom in and show you. It's got a lot of zigs and zags to it. But if we go in and we set the smoothing spinner to 100, then you'll notice we get a lot different result from the line. It has far fewer nodes than the previous line. And the lines are made up of smooth nodes. If I click like that and let go, then I've ended that line, but I can continue by simply clicking and dragging again. If I want to stop and exit when I get to the last one, then if I double click, that stops the line and moves me out of the freehand tool mode. Oh, finally, if you want to deselect that line and get your pick tool back, then press the space bar. And that's true of most of these tools. Pressing the space bar will generally give you the pick tool, but not always. So I'll point that out as we go along. Next tool is the 2-point line tool. And if you'll notice, I've got some kind of complex things going on here. The 2-point line is a single segment straight line, and unlike the freehand tool, it's made with a click and drag. So let me select 2-point line, and if I click and drag, I can go any direction I want to until I let go. And once I let go, then I have made a 2-point line. And I can click and drag and make another one and another one. Okay. Once again, if I press the spacebar, then I go back to the pick tool. All right, so I'm going to remove this. Now let me make a rectangle. I'm going to make this on an angle like I've got this other one up here. All right, and I'm going to go back to my two-point line tool. And notice up here in the property bar, I've got these three buttons. One is a tangential two-point line. The next is a perpendicular two-point line. And then this is just a two-point line, neither one. So anything I do here, it has no actual relationship to that rectangle. Actually, before I go any farther, I'm going to go ahead and make my circle too. So I'll go back to the tool, and if I click on perpendicular two-point line, then when I click on this shape and I draw it out, I'm still clicking and dragging. You notice how the line moves to any point. I can go all the way around and draw my perpendicular line out. That's pretty neat, isn't it? Same here, draw another, and so forth. Works the same way on the circle. So if I click and drag, it'll go all the way around. Now, there's a thing that happens here. I can't explain why it jumps to the other side of the circle. There's probably a good reason, and somebody with more experience could explain it. I don't know, but if you'll move inside the circle, you can get the line back that you want. So anyway, this also will circle around and make a straight line from any point. So there's my straight line. Do another one out here, like so. Then let's make a tangential two-point line. It doesn't work with the rectangle. If you draw it here, it's just like a straight two-point line. But on the circle, it does. When you click on the edge of the circle, then your line is tangential to the circle with the intersecting point at the end of the line. Okay? Now if I wanted to do what I did before, oops, so I don't want that. I do want this though. Yep, there we go. All right, so what I did earlier, if you saw that, so I had two tangential lines, and then I did a perpendicular line. Draw that straight out. And then a regular two-point line. And if you ever need that shape, then you know exactly how to do it, right? Okay. Let me see if there's anything else I need to cover on a two-point line. No, once again, press the space bar, and we'll get our pick tool back. All right, let's go to the Bézier tool. The Bézier and Pen tools are very similar. There's very little difference between them. Let me go ahead and draw these lines here that are over on the side. All right, I'm going to use the Bézier tool, and I will click and drag to get a little bit of a short line in a direction. Then I'm going to go up here, click once, and come down to the lower side and click and drag, and it gets that direction there. A little bit more. Okay, I'm going to make this a cusp, and then I pull this one in and this handle over, and you see I kind of have it like the other one was. Does that look like it? Okay. Next, let's make I'm going to make this one go down a little bit, go down to the bottom, click across, and then like that. And this node at the bottom needs to be a smooth node. All right, so now I can draw this back in here. That's pretty close to that one. All right, and then final one here. Get the direction going. Draw another node here, and then another one down here. Okay. And I want this node in the middle symmetrical. And I'll draw that out. Draw this one in, as well as this one, and then I've got my curve like I want it. All right, let me delete these lines. Okay, that's basically how the Bézier tool works. Let me go over how you start and stop it. You click, move your mouse, click again, and you have your second node and the end of the line. If you press the space bar, then you'll go back to the pick tool and your drawing is ended. If you click on the Bézier tool again, you can click on that node and continue drawing, and press that space bar again. And if I go back here, if I click, make a couple of nodes, and then I hit the enter key, that ends the line there, and I maintain the Bézier tool as my current mode. See, I've got a node on the Alt key here. Let me show you this. If I I click to make a node, and then I hit the Alt key, then everything that I draw after that, while I still hold the Alt key down, are straight lines. Let go of the Alt key, and then I can make curved lines again, press it, and they're straight lines. So you can alternate between straight lines and curved lines using the Alt key. I think that same thing holds for the pen tool. There's just minor differences between these. So there's curves. Let me press the Alt key. Yep, happens with the pen tool also. Okay. Now you see me pulling this off. That's the primary difference between the Bézier tool and the pen tool. Bézier tool, once you click, it will maintain its state and be ready to, it'll show you where your next node is going to be and hold the line. Once again, press the space bar to end that mode of drawing. Also with the pen tool, if I click like that and then I double click, I end the line where I double click, but I maintain this mode. If I make some more nodes and then hit the enter key, same thing happens. I end the line at that last place that I clicked, and I maintain the pen mode. And finally, once again, if I hit the space bar, then I'm back to the pick tool. Let's go to the next tool, which is the B-Spline. B-Spline is kind of fun. It's a different way of drawing. With the tools that we looked at prior to now, when you click, at the point where you click, you make a node or a control point, depending on what kind of line you're making. And you see it there, and it is part of the line. With a B-Spline, your control points, and in this case they are called control points, your control points are not on the line. I'm going to show you an exception to that, or another way of doing it. First, let's make a B-Spline. So we'll click for the first control point. Then when I click, Yeah, there we go. All right, so, and I'll double click there to end it. Could also hit the enter key to end it as well. And I still maintain the B-Spline mode. But here's the difference. All of these are, I'll show you here. You see this node is here. I can change the shape of the line by changing the position of that control point. Same with this one up here. So if I change this like so, oops, like so, then the shape of the line changes. You'll get used to it. It's an interesting way to make those shapes. You can also you can join them. I believe that's joined. Okay. Now, I want to show you how these will change if I use what's called clamping. All right, that's the end of my line. Let me select this one, and I'm going to click up here. You see this button? This is called a clamp. When I click on that, it will pull the line up to straight segments. Well, actually, this is a curved segment on this side, but this is a straight segment here, in line with that node. Okay? I can do the same here. Let's make that clamped. Now the endpoints on B-splines are clamped. That's their status. And I don't believe it's possible to change. Nope, it's not. But you can change one of these back from clamp to float. Once again, go back to float. Yeah, I think you see the possibilities here for lining up this type of line. You see how it's snapping to straight up and down. All right, so that's it for the B-spline. Let's go to the next type of line, which is the polyline. Okay, now let me select it. So a polyline tool, you see this top one up here that I made before? This line has lots of nodes to it. The reason is because this freehand smoothing was set to 0. So as I made lines like so, then it made very jerky lines. And there would be fewer of those if I set this to say 50%, there would be fewer of those nodes. Okay, so the curves are less sharp and fewer of them than what's here. And that's based on the number that's set here for the smoothing. So if I go to 100%, then I should only have 3 or 4 nodes. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5. All right, let me get back to the page. So that showed you how to make this rather bumpy line here and this smooth line. Something else you can do is you can make straight lines and curved lines, and all you do is either click and then click again. Without clicking and dragging, you make straight lines. As soon as you click and drag, you make a curved line. The next one is a straight one when you just click, and then you make a curvy line. If I press the space bar, once again, I'll be back to the pick tool. Something else you can do with the Polyline tool is before you start drawing, you can click on auto close, and so if I click like that and drag, when I let go, or double click, then it'll close that curve for me by drawing a straight line. If I did this with, let me see, and double click on that last node, then I can make a shape like that. So you could actually make irregular polygons this way. Kind of a nifty thing to know. So let's go to the next tool, which is a 3-point curve. Before I explored the tools in this flyout, I thought there was a way to do something, and actually in a previous video I did it and failed to use this feature, and I feel embarrassed about that now. Actually, I'll show you what I did. I made a line like that. Then I clicked on the 3-point curve, and I clicked and dragged along that line and came out here, and this was when I was making my balloon. And then I clicked, and that was the balloon that I was making. And I wanted to close the shape, and what I did in that previous video was I came back here and I hit the 2-point line and I tried to match up these nodes. What I can do instead is, while I still have this selected right after I've drawn it, go up here to the top and click on Close Curve, and now that curve is closed. Alright, and that's pretty much all there is to know about the 3-point curve tool. Let's go to the next tool, which is Smart Drawing. Now you notice that I have made quite a few drawings here. The Smart Drawing tool, I think, takes some practice to get the best use out of it. It has 2 controls up here in the property bar. One is shape recognition, and for my purposes, keeping it on the highest level works out best. If I wanted to make like the triangle or the rectangle that you see down below, this is what you need. It's pretty close to that. The second one is a smoothing level, and if you have no smoothing, then I'll show you what your line looks like. There's a few tools that I like to use my Wacom pad with, drawing tablet, and this is one. Okay, so I'm going to make a curve like I've got up there at the top, more or less. And you see that that's kind of like this one was, very short segments. If I change the smoothing to, let's go all the way to medium, and I do this again, then it's not quite as bad. And if I go all the way to highest, then I can make a fairly smooth curve with some straight line segments in it too. But here's something that's very interesting. This shape that you see here, it looks like a bunch of individual lines, but actually if you click and drag, 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 then you end up making a single shape. So I'm going to press the space bar, and when I click on one of these, you see I select all of them. If you go over here and look in the Object Manager, you see that that's a single curve. I'm not really sure what that does for you, what advantage there is in that, but it's good to know that you can do that. Let me see, looks like I can select that and spin it, rotate it. Okay, now let's go ahead and make a Smart Drawing. Let's make a triangle, and the way you do that is you just draw what's roughly a triangle. When you stop, you'll see that it'll make that triangle. It's an entire shape. You click on it, it's closed. All right, same thing is true if you try to make a rectangle. Go up, over, down, and back, and the tool recognizes that as a rectangle, and that too is closed. All right, that's an interesting tool. I personally, I don't see how I would use that very often, but it might be just absolutely perfect for you. Now let's go to the final tool, which is LiveSketch. Now LiveSketch, I think, has a lot of possibility. I have used it very, very little other than to explore it for the sake of showing it to you. But I can see for someone who actually knows how to draw with pencil and paper that this would be incredibly valuable as a means of using the technique that they use in actual drawing. All right, so to do this, I'm going to change some things here. I want to change my outline width. I'm going to change that to 4 pixels. And now let's go look up here at the top, and you'll see there's a delay before these strokes before the strokes that you make are rendered. There's an option to include curves, and you're really going to have to play with these things to see how they work. I mean, I kind of understand, but not entirely. This is a distance that you can set. This is really close, and for very close-in drawing, 5 pixels. If you draw anything outside of that, you would draw a new line. But within that boundary, then whatever you draw will be added to your current line or will modify your current line that you're drawing next to. You'll see in just a second. This one is, let me get that, there we go. Create a single curve, and I'm not sure how. Not sure how that works. I know how it works set on single curve, so I'll leave it at that. This is our curve smoothing. You'll need to play with that too. I can't right now explain how it works. But all right, all that is set. You got a couple of more things here. This one is, what is it? It's a bounding box. Oh, it keeps the bounding box displayed after you stop drawing. If you have that off, then it doesn't. And then finally, this is preview mode. And it shows the line that you're drawing, I think. Yeah. And that way, for some reason, it doesn't. And I'm not sure why that would help you, maybe to keep confusion down. All right, so all those things are now set. And I'm going to zoom in. Go back and select my tool. And I'm going to start drawing a curve. All right. You see how, all right, I was outside of my width. Let me set this a little wider. Set it to about 10 or 11. Okay. All right, now if I make these, they should make that. When I draw like that, it will change the shape of that just slightly. I say it will. Well, and sometimes you end up drawing a new line. All right, so let me just draw outside of that one continually. You can see how I'm pulling that line away. I can do the same up here. Yep, there we go. All right, so if I draw that up that way, for an artist, let me see. All right, I've got that tolerance set a little wide. So I'm going to go back to 5. Well, 4. All right, so if I All right, well, that's not a great demonstration, but I think you get the idea of what you can do with the sketch tool. You can make some pretty impressive curves, cross-hatching when you're drawing something really tight. You need to change the line. You could change it that way. If you have a line that's drawn with the Bézier or Pen Tool, you can change where the line sits and how it's shaped in relationship to other objects, but you have to manipulate the nodes in order to do that. All right, so LiveSketch can give you some really powerful sketching capabilities, and particularly if you have skills in the real world with drawing with pen and pencil, I think you'll probably love LiveSketch. All right, that completes all of our tools in this overview. Did that help you better understand how to use all these tools in the Curve Tool Flyout? If so, then take a second to click on the like button down below, and also subscribe if you like this kind of content, and ring the bell to be notified of the next video coming out. I thank you so much for being with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.